In this video, I'm going to show you how to accept an assignment for the first time. In GitHub Classroom, assignments are going to be our labs, and that's how we get them. So what I'm first going to do is bring up Slack, and this is the way the invite has been distributed to me as Margaret Hamilton, our fictitious student. And so what she does is she sees this URL and she clicks on it, and this is going to take her to GitHub Classroom. So she hasn't logged in under GitHub yet or logged into GitHub Classroom. And again, you only have to do this once when you first start out. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So once I've entered the username and password that you have for GitHub, I'm going to go ahead and save that in the Safari so that I have it in the future. This is where you come up with this Join the Classroom Bootcamp SY22. So you're going to join this classroom, very similar to like you did in Parliament. And what I'm going to do is go down here and look through the list until I find my name. So here I see Margaret Hamilton, so I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to say OK. And then here it says Introduction Lab. This is the lab that we want to accept. So I'm going to accept this assignment. So when I do that, it's basically creating a repo in my GitHub repository that is called Introduction Lab - Margaret Hamilton. So it's going to have this name plus my name attached to it. And if I refresh here, I now see the full URL to that repository. So there's two ways you can approach this. One is we can go to Xcode right now, and we should see it in Xcode. So let's try that. So what I'm going to do is fire up Xcode in our normal way. So Command space, bring up Xcode. We get the welcome screen. When we get this welcome screen, instead of creating a new project, what we want to do is clone an existing project. That's this choice right here. So I'm going to click on that. And notice, here's the Introduction Lab, Margaret Hamilton, showing up all there for us. And so that's awesome. That's exactly what we want. So if I click on that and I say clone, remember clone is bringing it down onto my computer from the cloud. And then I'm going to put it in the documents directory. That's fine. So I say clone, and voila, I have brought up my lab. Now, if I go here to main, I see the code, the instructions, and the things that I need to do. So when I'm done with this, so let's say, I make a change here, and that's not the correct way to do this lab, but it gives you an example, and I do Command S for save, just to save it locally. So what we want to do is commit this back up when we're done, when we're ready for me to review it. The way we do that is Option Command C. That brings up this commit window. So this brings up the commit window. Now, if you launch this and nothing shows up here, just go ahead and close, cancel out, and do it again. I'm not sure why that happens every once in a while, but it should come up with basically showing a check mark next to the main.swift file that's been changed. And in fact, if I click on main.swift, we can actually see here's the change that we made, and this is what the file looked like ahead of time before we touched it. So we don't need to worry about that. All we need to know is that main.swift has a check mark here. If it doesn't, you want to check it. Then go down here to enter your commit and say whatever you want. Basically, this is your message that you're recording about your commit. So I could just say finish lab. And then I'm going to come down here and click on push to remote. And what this is going to do, not only is it going to commit it to our repository, it's going to push it back up to the cloud. So I'm going to say commit one file and push. And I'm done. I've now completed the lab, and I can go mark that completed in Parliament. Now remember, I said there were two ways to do this, so I just want to show you the other way. The one I just showed you I think is the easiest, but if you have this URL here, you can go ahead and copy it. So I'm going to just click on this little clipboard right here, and then I'm going to bring up Xcode again. and we get this welcome screen. And when I go to clone an existing project, I click on it. Now it is finding it again, but let's suppose it didn't, or you had a bunch of other things there. You could come up here and just paste that URL into here. Now, it turns out this clipboard, interestingly, doesn't work. It should. So I'm going to just go select this. I'm just selecting this by doing the left mouse button and then holding it down and dragging over this whole thing. And then I do Command C to copy. Now I come back here and I paste, and I've pasted that URL in. And now I can say clone, and the same process is going to occur. So here again, it's going to say Introduction Lab, Margaret Hamilton, clone. It's going to now replace the one I had because I just did this, but I'm going to just write over it. And now when I come over here and I click on main.swift, I also have my lab. So that's another way to do this, is to copy the URL and just paste it in. But usually it will show up in that list in Xcode when you first fire it up and go to the cloning section. By the way, if you want to do this without closing Xcode, the other way you can get to it is if I say window here and I say welcome to Xcode, it brings this up. So if Xcode is already running and you want to get to this clone an existing project, you can do it that way as well.